Lagos is the epicenter of the COVID-19 pandemic in Nigeria. As the second wave persists, the federal and state governments are unrelenting in their mission to reduce the spread of the virus. This explains why the midnight curfew in Lagos is still in force and public gatherings are held with strict caveat that contains a list of do's and don'ts. The restrictions also apply to educational centers, and now that schools in Lagos have reopened for academic activities, we shall examine the pros and cons of this development on Panorama today, coming to you from the Lagos Network Center. I am Dotun Ogmiemi. Thanks for joining us. Nigeria has promised to sustain efforts at charting Africa's renewal and rebirth towards deepening healthy democracy, good governance, and sustainable growth. President Muhammadu Buhari stated this at the virtual signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Committee of Heads of States and Government participating in the African Peer Review Mechanism and the Federal Republic of Nigeria on the second peer review process. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has details.
The second peer review process is necessitated by Nigeria's implementation of the National Program of Action formulated towards addressing observed governance challenges and strengthening best practices in the nation's democracy, political and economic governance. President Muhammadu Buhari, who noted with pride the steady progress being made in Africa's peer review mechanism as a self-monitoring tool towards addressing governance deficit, reaffirmed the commitment of his administration to good governance practices enshrined in the vision and ideals of NEPAD.
Our administration has continued to vigorously pursue security, economic diversification, and anti-corruption as the main thrust of national change agenda. The totality of this strategy is premised on the promotion of democracy, respect for the rule of law and human rights, gender equality, and by far the largest investment in social change in Nigeria's post-independence history.
Nigeria, he said, is keen on joining the League of African Union member states undergoing the second peer review exercise as a firm demonstration of her belief in the dividends of democracy.
We have learned valuable lessons and gained a wealth of experience in our journey to entrenching democracy and good governance in all manifestations since the restoration of democracy in 1999. We must stay the course and continue on this pathway to a peaceful, secure, and more democratic Nigeria. My consent in signing the MOU further attests to Nigeria's commitment in promoting good governance, faster development, and sustainable growth.
Both the APRM Continental Secretariat as well as the lead panelists on the review exercise were convinced that Nigeria's success in the second peer review process will be Africa's success.
The APR panel and the Continental Secretariat are ready to accompany you in this important exercise of self-assessment and self-improvement.
You will agree with me that it's not very easy, that oftentimes people will subject themselves to be checked and to be investigated. So that shows clearly the intention of this government when it comes to transparency and accountability.
Amongst the benefits to be derived from Nigeria's second peer review process includes the entrenchment of good governance as well as consolidating the gains of democracy.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your courage and commitment to the challenging exercise that puts you right in your pursuit for transparency and change mantra.
Nigeria has demonstrated leadership by example. The talk of social intervention, you talk of infrastructure, human capital development, fighting corruption, stability of economy. This administration has really done well.
First reviewed in 2008, Nigeria is said to have recorded some accomplishments in the implementation of the National Program of Action as a major deliverable of the country's self-assessment report. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
As contractors handling the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway begin construction of additional works to the project, such as flyovers and interchanges at strategic junctions, the progress of work on the carriageway is to be totally completed by December this year. This was disclosed by the Director, Highway Reconstruction and Rehabilitation, Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, Funsho Adebi, during an inspection of some ongoing projects in the southwest. As work along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway continues, significant progress is being achieved, and details of this are not just graphically represented on charts, they are visible, with motorists recording shorter travel time along both sections of the 127.6-kilometer road. The challenge that, however, needs to be addressed remains indiscriminate parking of trucks on the road.
We see trailers in their hundreds. The trailers are in their hundreds there. And they are parked on the shoulder we are just preparing. We are begging our people, stop parking on our roads. You are destroying the roads and regulate your weight. The weight you are carrying is too much for this pavement. Who designed those trucks also designed that you carry 30 tons at a time. What do they carry? Some of them carry as much as 90 tons.
As the federal government targets improved port operations, the Apapa-Oshodi-Oboroshoki Expressway has achieved an average of 61% completion on all sections of the project.
On some of our major roads, Apapa-Oshodi-Oboroshoki, Lagos-Ibadan, Lagos-Otabe-Okuta, even Third Mainland Bridge, Outer Marina, all of the Ikorodu-Shagam, we are going to make, it's already on our plan, we are going to make appreciable progress.
The team also inspected the Ibadan-Ilorin road and assured of speedy completion as several challenges such as mining and construction on right-of-way, among other issues, are being addressed. Traders affected by the recent fire outbreak at Ijesha Market are still at the scene searching the rubble with the hope of finding valuables among what is left from the sad incident. Amaka O has an update.
This is what is left of 196 Ijesha Market Road. This building was built in the early 1980s, but now is a shadow of itself after the recent fire that razed down the entire building. Owners of the building say that the building has been barricaded for security reasons as they await the Lagos State Building Control Agency to embark on an integrity test on the building. They also say they await a directive of the appropriate authorities before any form of reconstruction can be carried out.
That is why we are even still here this morning. Maybe we can still see something to gather again. We want the government to stand for us so we can, this building can still be like before, more than, even beautiful than before.
We just depend on God and those individuals God is going to use, but mainly speaking, we need help.
And opposite me are petty traders who, for them, life goes on as they have displayed their wares and have begun trading in earnest. From Ijesha Market Road in Mushin local government area of Lagos State, Amaka O, NTA News.
COVID-19 vaccines being expected by the federal government will be distributed to Nigerians free of charge at government-designated health facilities. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 at Monday's briefing also assured Nigerians that NAFDAC will validate the vaccines before use. Kenneth Nanim reports.
As the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic rages, attention is shifting to vaccines. A comprehensive COVID-19 vaccine deployment and vaccination plan has already been deployed by the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency.
We're starting from the grassroots, making sure that we engage with traditional leaders, the local leaders, religious leaders. These are the gatekeepers of our communities. This is why, as part of the engagements we've had in the last couple of days, we engaged the Christian religious leaders to really hear what are some of the concerns that they're hearing from their congregation.
Nigeria is participating in the African Union initiative called African Vaccine Availability Task Team, which reports directly to the African Union chairman and has secured 270 million doses of various vaccines for Africa. Bearing in mind the options suitable for our environment and our available infrastructure as well as investment in delivery, Nigeria has written to express interest in 10 million doses of this viral vector vaccine, which could be supplied possibly from March.
Nigerians are assured that the PTF will ensure that the vaccines to be approved will be safe and effective.
Meanwhile, school authorities are strongly advised not to compromise with the non-pharmaceutical measures with the resumption of schools.
All the states will be engaged to increase the number of testing that they are doing.
The PTF is also set to release another list of passport numbers of 100 defaulters of its protocols for mandatory post-arrival COVID-19 tests for inbound travelers to serve as deterrent to others. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
In the meantime, latest figures from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control shows 1,670 new cases of coronavirus have been recorded in 18 states and the Federal Capital Territory, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 112,004 in Nigeria. Out of the new infections, Lagos reported 776 cases, Kaduna 147, Kwara 131, the FCT 102, Plateau 78, Edo 59, Ogun 53, Osun 45, Rivers 37, Taraba 36, Nasarawa 34, Adamawa 36, Kano 26, Delta 20, Ebonyi 16, while Bayelsa and Gombe have 11 cases each, and Borno recorded 2 new cases. 89,939 have been discharged so far, with 1,449 deaths on record. We'll take a commercial break. Panorama continues. Many thanks for joining us. As most schools in the country resume classroom activities Monday, the major concern is adherence to COVID-19 safety protocols. Awal Yusuf Jibo visited some schools within the Lagos metropolis to monitor students' turnout and safety measures put in place by schools.
At the gate of the school, we saw this banner which says, "No face mask, no entry." This already set the tone for what is to be expected. Hand-washing points were spotted within the school premises, though no student could be seen as they had already settled in for the business of the day.
Becoming what? Whoever has gone to the universities to study pharmacy.
Monsura Tijani is the principal of Agnus Memorial High School. Monitoring compliance with safety protocols is one of her key duties. Masked up as example to others, she emphasized that the school is doing everything within its means to ensure safety of its students.
So that all students must put on their nose masks, which will ensure that compliance is 100%. Then also washing of hands regularly, we educated them on it, and use of hand sanitizer.
We now operate what we call the staggered timetable, where SS3 will come on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. Then SS2 and SS1 comes on Tuesdays and Thursdays because of the social distancing thing.
Amudayat Abdul Karim and Arokimola Oluwatoyin are final year students who are excited to return to school. They agree that complying with laid down COVID-19 safety protocols is a strict rule that cannot be compromised.
A new beginning on my friends and my teachers. To start over again is great.
All the students in the school are using the nose masks and we are washing our hands always.
Provision of social amenities for the COVID-19, like the buckets with running tap for washing hands, hand sanitizers, and sometimes they can offer nose masks to students that don't tend to have.
We, in each classroom, we normally have social distancing. That is, we don't sit two. Each chair has each person on it.
These schools and many others in Lagos have started with safety as their watchword. Observers are optimistic that maintaining these standards will significantly discourage the spread of COVID-19 in Nigeria. In Lagos, Awol Yusuf Jibo, NTA News.
Here to talk more about the resumption of schools in Lagos amidst the second wave of COVID-19 is Bisola Olanubi, an educationist. She joins me now live via Zoom. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
All right, so schools in Lagos have reopened. What are your sincere thoughts on this, given the fact that some states are still holding on in terms of resumption?
Like any Nigerian or anybody who is living through the second wave of the pandemic, I'm scared. But I also know that life must continue because from what the scientists have told us, COVID-19 has come to stay for a while. And so I can understand why Lagos State government said we should open schools. Life must continue. It's something we have to live with. If parents are going to work, the markets are open, then there's no reason why we should leave schools closed. Nevertheless, opening schools, we should open it cautiously. So I heard the Minister of Education say this morning that schools were open because of pressure. If the statistics show that schools shouldn't be open, then we don't have to open schools. But if it's something that we can live with and manage with caution and observing all safety protocols by all stakeholders, then schools are open.
Now, Lagos still remains the epicenter of the virus. How can we protect children and staff? Because of the feedback that we're getting is that some schools are not complying with some of these safety protocols as mentioned.
Any school that is not complying with this safety protocol is doing it at the peril of everybody that is in that school. And even by extension, their families and everybody they come into contact with. And so they are also risking the lives of everybody in Lagos. Safety is everyone's responsibility, and we must do all that is within our control to ensure that we observe all these protocols. If these protocols are for us and they are not to inconvenience us, they are meant to make us stay healthy and strong. So schools that are not observing these protocols, they are not doing the right thing. And I hope government officials will go around schools, and if they see any school that is not observing these protocols, they should shut down schools.
And how should head of schools, private and government, how should they begin to now enforce these safety protocols?
Sorry, I did not get you.
Head of schools of private-owned and government-owned institutions, how do they begin to enforce these safety protocols?
Okay, so for private schools, I want to believe that it's easier for us because we have fewer children. But from what I know of government schools, especially in Lagos, they have many children in each class. And even with the shift system that the government schools are running, they still have a lot of children. So it's rather challenging. But if government commits to providing running water in all the schools and so to wash their hands, and government gives every school child, especially in the public schools, even in the private schools, every school child, the safety gadgets, by that I mean face mask, nose shield, face shield, to come to school, I think it should be easier so that government does not rely on parents to provide this thing. It's not everybody that can afford to be changing the face mask or face shields every day. So it means that government must support parents in this regard.
All right, because I was actually going to ask you what the role of parent actually is in all of this to ensure safety of their wards.
Okay, so the duty of parents is to also collaborate with government and schools and to support our initiatives in driving this message home. So parents also in their homes should also ensure that they educate their children on the need to observe these protocols. Even when the children are going to school, when you have a child that is running temperature or that is sneezing or coughing, there's no point sending that child to school. Prior to now, you will see a child come to school with maybe a runny nose and the parents will tell you it's an ordinary pattern. But now nobody is willing to take any chance. So if your child has a pattern that is seemingly ordinary, it's better you keep your child at home and observe that child. So it goes also beyond washing of hands, wearing face masks. If you see anything untoward happening in your home, please don't bring your child to school. And I must also say this, that there are some parents that have been exposed to the virus and they don't inform schools. So if for any chance, maybe in your place of work, somebody tested positive and because of that, they've asked you to self-isolate at home, there's no point asking your child to come to school because by doing that, you are also exposing the children in your child's school even to danger. So safety is everyone's responsibility. We've been hearing that for a long time, but this statement is now very real and it's something we should take ownership of.
Thank you so much, Bisola Olanubi, for your thoughts and insights on the program.
Thank you.
Now, report reaching us has it that no fewer than 3 people have been confirmed dead and several injured with vehicles and motorcycles burnt in an early morning inferno involving a petrol tanker in Abuja, the Ogun State capital. The explosion, as explained by an eyewitness, occurred at about 8:15 a.m. Tuesday morning near the Presidential Boulevard Road, opposite Lawson Group of School, Kuto, Abuja, when a 33,000 fuel-laden tanker allegedly lost its brake. Many vehicles and motorcycles on the road when the incident occurred were unlucky and subsequently got burnt. Men and officers of the fire service and other agencies, as well as law enforcement agents, were on the ground to manage the situation, while those injured have been rushed to the hospital for prompt treatment. Details of this report will come in our subsequent bulletin. The Kano State government has announced the imposition of fresh ban on the activities of viewing and event centers across the state following increasing COVID-19 cases. The State Commissioner for Information, Malam Muhammad Garba, who made the revelation in a statement, said the measure was part of a decision at a stakeholders meeting held at the Africa House, Kano, on Monday. He said that all civil servants in the state have also been directed to stay home pending further instruction. Malam Garba, however, explains that workers on essential services such as the healthcare service providers, fire service, water board, teaching staff, security guards, and the media are exempted from the ban. The Commissioner reaffirmed government's commitment to working with relevant stakeholders that includes the ulama to ensuring compliance with COVID-19 protocols. He also warned that security agents who were part of the stakeholders meeting would not hesitate to take stern measures to ensure compliance with the directive. We now join Mohammed Dati in Sokoto as he gives us an update of the fire incident there.
Behind me are the shops that are affected by the inferno. This fire started at exactly at 6 o'clock this morning, and it's now a few minutes to 11 o'clock in Central Market. Now, sources said this fire started as a result of the spark by a transformer that is close to the market. All the shops behind me are being burnt, and sources have said the fire is being advanced due to the breeze. Now, authorities concerned are doing all they can to see that this fire is being quenched. I also started the state deputy governor coming into the market to see things for himself. From Sokoto, I'm sure Muhammad Detsi reporting.
Thank you, Mohammed, for that update. We'll definitely keep tabs on that and bring you details in our subsequent bulletin. Let's now join our sports desk for Sports Update.